أهلا بكم أعزائنا المشاهدين في حلقة هذا الأسبوع من القراءة الأسبوعية مع حلا. أهلا حلا.
السلام عليكم.
أهلين. إيش الكتاب اللي اخترتيه اليوم؟
الكتاب اسمه Angels in the Dust, written
مهم.
by Margaret Thies Raven, illustrated by Roger Esley.
مهم. What's the book about?
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to read the introduction because it explains
مهم.
basically everything.
Yeah.
So begins the heartwarming story of one's family triumph over double times. Annie and her younger sister, Bessie, live on a farm in Oklahoma. It is the Depression, and the land, once so bountiful, has suddenly turned harsh and dry. Soon everything is covered with dust. Papa's crops die in the field, and Mama's coughing grows worse. But nothing can quench Annie's spirit, and when tragedy strikes, she discovered that family and community can be angels here on earth. In this tale from America's past, Margaret Raven transcends time with her universal theme that isn't there's nothing so bad that it isn't good for something.
Mhm. Sounds nice. So take it over.
Alright. Angels in the Dust. Sometimes, when the wind blows hard, Great-Grandma Annie tells us a story from long ago about dust winds and tin cans and the day the angels danced in the sky. She always begins by telling us about the land. Time was, children, when I was a young girl, I lived on a wheat farm, as flat as a breadboard. The farm was on the Panhandle Plains of Oklahoma. That's where land reaches out as a handshake, like the end of a clock. Our little house on the farm was small and brown. It had only 2 rooms and a lean-in kitchen for Mama, Papa, Bessie, and me. I was the oldest and named after Mama, because Papa said I had Mama's eyes, as big and blue as a bowl of prairie sky. When I was 12 and Bessie was 6, our sky, so big and blue, turned dark and fierce in the middle of the day. Great dust storms came blowing. They came with a drought that took hold of the land. No rain fell for over a long, long time. Mean new winds came blowing, too, scorching hot and stiff as a dragon's breath. They withered our corn. They withered our wheat. They baked our land bone dry until it looked as cracked and old as Mama's white milk pitcher. Soon nothing grew in Papa's fields except great piles of dusty earth. When those dust winds blew at night, dirt came through the cracks in our little brown house. Before bed, Bessie and I always stuffed the cracks with old newspaper scraps and hung wet sheets over the windows to keep the dust from coming in. It still came to call like an unwanted visitor. It covered our faces with sandy grit as we slept, and in the morning our pillows would be brown, except for the spots where our heads had been. Excuse me. Most mornings, too, we'd find the dust from the night sky sandy and dark across the kitchen table. After chores, I'd like to trace my name in the dirt as if it were the chalkboard. After chores, I like to trace my name in the dirt Excuse me, sorry, the lighting is distracting me. Sometimes I helped Bessie write out her name, pretending I was the teacher. Mama always smiled when she saw me giving lessons in the desk. Annie, she said, you make me think nothing's so bad that it isn't good for something. But it was hard to find anything good about the dust that took Mama. One day in the early fall, she started coughing. Her coughing grew worse and worse. The doctor called it dust pneumonia. I'll be better soon, she promised. But Mama never got better. She died just after Papa's planting, when the winter wheat lay in the ground, waiting for the snows and growing rains. But the sky didn't cry for Mama like Bessie and I did. No rain fell. Papa held us close. Mama is an angel now, he told us. Is an angel like the dust? Bessie asked. Going anywhere it has the mind to? Just like the dust, Papa said. Always everywhere. With Mama gone, I kept the house for Papa and Bessie. I didn't mind the hard work, but the dust made my long days even longer. On Mondays, it grayed my wash, drying clean on the line. On baking days, it sifted down the walls and covered my bread rising high on the back of the cook stove. And whenever a black blizzard blew, I could barely get a meal for the table with the dirt in the air. Black blizzards rolled down from the north and smothered. I thought they looked like the end of the world coming at us. One Sunday in April, Papa got lost in the worst black blizzard of all. He was high in the north quarter when the big roller hit. As fast as we could, Bessie and I gathered in the livestock and ran to the house to wait for Papa. We huddled around the kitchen window and watched the boiling black dirt wall blowing towards us with big chunks of earth tumbling inside of it. Soon the air in the room grew thick, and we couldn't see the end of our faces. Bessie was so funny. She held me tight and cried. Hush, honey, I soothed. Papa will be home soon, and Mama's keeping watch. Is she still an angel? Bessie asked me through her tears. A beautiful angel, I said, dancing above the clouds. Just then, Papa stumbled in the door. He was as black as Mama's frying pan, and nearly choked to death from the mud-thick air. But we were never so happy to see him. On one slow spring day, when storms came blowing, I took care of Mama's. It was her special place, her growing quilt, she called it. I turned over the tired earth and sowed in rows of English peas, tomatoes, cucumbers, melons, and beets, and every green, waxed, cream, and butter. Then day after day I drenched the ground with heavy buckets of water I carried from the well. But the hot sun and dry winds just wilted my sweet new green. Two hands in a bucket can't make rain, Annie, he said. Then one morning, while I was shooting a chicken from the barn, I found a pile of old tin. Suddenly, I found things, making to my I took the bottoms off the cans to hollow them out. And there's nail hole. I ran home my pipe from a windmill pulled up our water from the ground. Papa kept the windmill running all day and night, and he rimmed around the garden with gunny sacks to keep the storms from blowing it away. Soon my garden turned as green as a spring meadow. Papa called it a flying sled. Pretty as Mama's growing clothes, he said. Papa, Bessie, and I ate from my garden all summer long. On Saturdays, I raised money by selling beans and cucumbers for $1 a bushel in town. Often I gave my vegetables away to people who couldn't pay. It just seemed like the right thing to do, life being so hard. Your mama would have been proud, folks always said to me. Papa was proud. In August, I canned up vegetables in glass jars. I put a perfect seal on the top, said Mama has taught me. Keep summer safe inside. But nothing could keep Papa's wheat and corn safe that summer from the drought and blowing winds. When his crops didn't make good, the bank wanted to take our farm. So Papa took a job in the country, leveling off the dirt drifts on the road to town. It was hot, dangerous work in the blowing storms, but with the money he earned, we were able to keep our home. Then one terrible day, when Papa was working his road job, it felt like we had lost everything. Bessie called to me from the barnyard. Come quickly, Annie! The cows are in the feed stack again, she cried. As I hurried from the house, a curtain near the kitchen window drawn into the stove and fire burned. Everything was fine. Instantly came a wall of flames. There was nothing I could do except hope it wouldn't spread. I was so sad I didn't even cry. Bessie and I just watched our little house burn to ashes before Papa got home. Our neighbors, the Ralstons, took us in after the bad sleep alone some better bad times, they said. Stricken bumper to bumper, follow us back to the Ralstons, Papa said. Then after services, something wonderful had happened. A line of cars, stretching bumper to bumper, followed us back to the Ralstons. In the car were all our friends and neighbors, to give us a little book. Next to the neighbors, each was giving us a start again. $10 or $5. Just return the favor, they said. My tears came easily then. I knew we'd been growing friendships in those years of death, deep and true. Just like my garden pipe touching tin can to tin can, folks all came together to keep life going. With the money, Papa bought a pink house from Dr. Blackmare in Guyman and moved it into our land on a flatbed truck. The first day in our new house, Bessie helped me with the bacon. Can Mama see us in our house? And we want to see everything. Effie's voice began to tremble. "You can't see Mama," she said. "You can't see an angel, even if she can see you." Her words pulled at my heart. I knew just how she felt. It seemed the new house didn't know Mama the way our little brown house did. It felt strange and empty without her. Suddenly, it was as if I could hear Mama talk. A whisper in the wind. "Annie," she said, "you make nothing sad that is good for something. Lessons in the dust," I remembered. Maybe we can see an angel. I took hold of her hand and led Bessie outside to a fence road drifted high with dirt. Carefully, I turned and lay down backwards in the powdery earth. Then I moved my arms and legs slowly back and forth, and when I stood up, I'd made the dust a perfect angel. I folded my arms around Bessie. We smelled all earthy and warm together from the baking in the dirt. Then we just stood there for the longest time. We watched our angel until the sky turned dust pink, and the wind danced away with her gown in a soft prairie waltz. And all through the sky we saw the dances of angels in the glowing dust. Mama was near, we knew. Sometimes when the wind blows hard, Great-Grandma Annie tells us her story from long ago about the dust winds and tin cans and the angels that danced in the sky. When she finishes, she always closes her eyes and smiles. "Did you see them too, children? The angels?" she asked us. "We saw them too, Grandma," we say, and we leave her alone, quiet with memories. And that's the end of the book.
Great. Thank you so much, Hala. That was very enjoyable. By the way, Brother Muthanna here has a question for you. If you decide to write a story, which style would you prefer?
I think I definitely write a story about fantasy and magic. I really enjoy that type of kind of genre in writing. Almost all my books are about that. I don't know, I just find it very enjoyable and like builds up a lot of suspense, you know. So if I were to write a story, I think I'd write it like very suspenseful, with a lot of cliffhangers between the different books, and it would definitely be about fantasy.
Thank you so much, Hala. This week was very enjoyable, and I hope to see you again next week. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
شكرا أعزائنا المشاهدين، ونراكم الأسبوع القادم مرة أخرى.